Alright everybody, hello and welcome. As always, I am Sean, this is In The Mixer, and welcome to Season 2 of our Football's Coming Home Challenge with AFC Bournemouth. For those of you that have sat through the entire season so far, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the views, they do mean the world to me. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. If you do have any feedback, be it positive or negative, chuck it in the comment section below. I want to make the content as influenced by what people want to see as my own ideas, so any feedback would be awesome. But I don't think we're doing too badly so far. Hype's continuing to build Football Manager 2019, which is just around the corner. We should get a beta version of the game in a couple of weeks, which is going to be super exciting. So I'm hoping we can maybe get like 1 or 2 more seasons done with Bournemouth before we actually get to that point. We did do a full season review in the last kind of bonus episode 11.5, where we went over exactly kind of how our season went, where we finished, things we did well, our star performers. And then since then, we've gone through our entire pre-season schedule. So I guess the best place to start is to go through our squad and see who we've got and who we've brought in and all that sort of thing. So we'll jump into the transfers here. So you can see quite a bit has happened. I think at various points throughout the course of last season, I complained about my fullbacks and how open they seem to be against decent wingers. Still getting flashbacks to that game against Burnley where Robbie Brady tore us apart on the left-hand side. So Adam Smith and Charlie Daniels have both moved on for half-decent fees, given their rating and their value. Junior Stanislas has also gone to Huddersfield, as has Nick Pope. Benik Afobe, who never actually played during last season, he was out on loan in the Championship, has now gone to Crystal Palace for £6 million. Sam Matthews, who we never saw, Harfield, Max Gradell, Conor Marnie, Ramsdale, Graben, Cope. Like, there's a few people here that weren't ever really involved. Ryan Glover was probably the most talented youngster that we had available, but I think he was at like 3 stars at best, even if he fulfilled all his potential. So he's moved on to Coventry on a free. Mark Pugh, we moved on to Middlesbrough for $2.5 million. Dan Gosling for $2.5 million as well. And Steve Cook, interestingly enough, has gone to Southampton for $13.75. I actually ummed and ahed about whether I was going to get rid of Steve Cook. He wasn't on the list or anything. Most of the players you see here are people that we put on the transfer list trying to get rid of him. But Steve Cook was the only one where a club actually came in for him, and it was our fierce rival Southampton. And I thought, when am I ever really going to get $13.75 million for him again? He is 27 years old. Like, he was great for us last year. He's a natural at that ball playing defender role, but some of the signings that we've made, and you've probably already noticed a couple of them over here, meant that he was probably not going to play as much as you'd like. So let's focus on what we've spent here. We have spent £212 million. Again, I've done that thing that I always do, where I backload a lot of the deals that we do. So it's like $5 million up front and then like $35 million over the course of 3 payments in 12 months. But we made a shit ton of money on Europa League qualification, Europa League TV rights, and Premier League TV rights as well. So we're actually still looking really good financially. It's a weird combination. So we've brought in Danny Rose and Kieran Trippier from Tottenham. We did talk about needing to strengthen at fullbacks, and we have made a couple of tactical changes that I'll go through shortly. But Danny Rose has come in for £20 million. Again, $5 million up front, 15 across the rest of the next 3 payments over the next 12 months. Really capable in both a fullback and a wingback role. Obviously already has England caps and is in and around that squad. Just fantastic stats, great stamina, decent pace. Certainly an improvement on Charlie Daniels and on Tyrone Mings as well, who is still at the club. So I think he's going to be fantastic for us. 28 years old. We're still going to get a few good seasons out of him. He's only on 60k a week, which is another thing that we'll go through a little bit further in a moment. Kieran Trippier, 60k a week as well. Still only the 1 cap, even though he had such a great World Cup for England this most recent summer in the real world. Really good stamina, decent stats. I think definitely improvement on that right-hand side, and it also allows us to play with wing-backs instead of just the standard fullback. But $20 million for the 2 of them for current internationals, I think is a decent turnaround. The fact that we've been able to get both of them from Tottenham is really strange for me, but they also have Ben Davies and Serge Aurier and whoever else, so I don't actually think Rose or Trippier were playing all that much. We've signed Will Magnon to be our backup goalkeeper. He is currently the English under-21 goalkeeper. I thought he'd be a decent one to bring in just as a backup for Jack Butland. We're only paying him 10k a week. He's on a relatively long-term deal. 20 years old. I think he's going to be great. You can see he's already improving quite a bit, playing at a higher level now, being involved in a Premier League side, and he's being tutored by Jack Butland at the moment as well. Swansea were one of the teams that got relegated last season, so I took it upon myself to pick up Alfie Mawson to give us a little bit more depth. Already natural at that ball-playing defend role. He's likely going to be the 4th choice centre-back that we have, but it's good to have that depth. If we're going to be keep competing both domestically in Cups and the League, and then also with Europa League as well, having 2 players for every position is going to be super important. And just sneakily, if we're having a look, he could potentially be a sweeper or a libero somewhere down the track, but that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. 24 years old, English through and through, only 30k a week, so he's not costing us a tremendous amount. Just a fantastic squad player to have in and around the club. The other one we picked up is Ben Brereton. I basically was looking around for a long time trying to find another person who could potentially play as a defensive forward. We have Ashley Barnes obviously doing fantastically well in that position and in that role, but there didn't seem to be a whole lot of options beneath that for a proper defensive forward. Jamie Vardy's the only one I could think of, and we can't get anywhere near him because, one, Leicester don't need to sell him and want an insane amount of money, and his wages would be astronomical. He's already on over 100k a week at Leicester. If he would come to us, we just don't have the wage budget to be able to offer that. So we've gone for Ben Brereton, who looks to be a pretty solid player. Played 28 times for Nottingham Forest, most of which in the last season, scored 4 goals for their senior side. Only 19 years old, also involved in the England under-21 setup. We've got him on a 3-year deal. He's currently getting tutored by Ashley Barnes. He just has pretty solid stats for that particular role, with that defensive forward shape. So I think he's going to be a good 4th choice striker for us as well. Which is also important to note because Jermaine Defoe retired at the end of last season. He announced his retirement, I think, just after we finished the last episode. We might actually try and bring him in as a coach here. He wants to be under 18s assistant manager. I would be absolutely thrilled if he wanted to come in and do that. I'm half tempted to replace Jason Tyndall and bring Jermaine Defoe in as my assistant, but we'll give him some time in the under 18s before he comes across. Ademola Lookman, we've brought in from Everton. I think at a relative steal at only £26 million. Spent last season on loan at at Red Bull Leipzig. 21 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist. A relatively low average match rating, but for a 20-year-old left wing option, I think he's going to not just be there to provide depth for Ryan Sessegnon, but also provide some decent competition for starts once form and things dip, and once we start getting right into bulk periods of games over November and December. So great potential ability, really decent current ability, pace is absolutely phenomenal, and already favoured position is left wing with attack, which is what we're playing in our shape and formation anyway. So a great signing there. Tom Davies is the other one. I won't lie, when it comes to Tom Davies, he was purely a want, not necessarily a need. £50 million, it's 15 million up front and then 35 over 3 payments. So it is quite a bit. He is our new record signing at the club. Can play as a deep line playmaker. We're going to try and push him to be that box-to-box midfielder. If you look at some of the stats that he's got here, for a 20-year-old kid with 1 cap to already be in double figures for a lot of these, I think is going to be great. His stamina probably needs a little bit of work. Only 4-star potential ability, but those do move around a little bit if he gets a decent run of games in the side. A wonder kid, we've got him on a long-term deal till 2022, already valued at 30.5 million, and you can see here he's already been playing in a couple of pre-season friendlies and doing relatively well, so I think it's a decent get. Perhaps we overpaid a little bit, but we need to get English talent, and we need to get them in where they're young, because if you're trying to bring in players that are current internationals and currently in that England starting 11, it's just impossible. Next one is Danny Drinkwater. He was actually on the transfer list by request at Chelsea. We needed to bring someone in to provide greater depth at that deep line playmaker defend role. Andrew Sermon was phenomenal for us last year and should still expect to play quite a bit, but having Danny Drinkwater here as well, he's on 80k a week, which is actually a pay cut on what he was getting paid at Chelsea, which was around 100. 3 England caps, he hasn't had one in a while. He's in his prime at 28 years old. I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic for us, but fingers crossed he can kind of carry on some decent form into the regular season. And then the last one we went in for, and this one was driven entirely by Steve Cook leaving and getting that fund for him, is Reece Oxford. Most recent addition from West Ham, £45 million, 15 up front, 30 over 3 payments. He can be a ball-playing defender. He is listed as a wonder kid, still only 19 years old. It feels like he's been around for years and years and years. 3.5 current ability already and over 5-star potential. I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic. Played at Mönchengladbach in Germany last season on loan. 29 appearances, 1 goal, 4 assists, a decent average rating for someone so young. And I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic for us this season. So that outlines everybody that we've brought in. Okay, so if we jump into the current injuries here, Andrew Salmon's got a pulled groin. He's been out for a little while, but he should be back in the next couple of days. Harry Maguire has unfortunately picked up a damaged spine. He's getting specialist treatment for it. He's going to be out 5 to 8 months, which is absolutely horrific. It sounds like a disgusting, disgusting injury. I think that injury coming through is kind of why we started to push through the signing of Reece Oxford as well, so that we have that right-sided player to play next to Ben Gibson. Once Maguire's fit, which won't be until probably looking at the end of January by the time he gets back into training and back up to match sharpness, maybe that we ask some questions then as to who is our strongest central defensive partnership. But him being out for that long is absolutely devastating, considering how great he was when he came in last season. And Callum Wilson, the other one, torn knee ligaments. His knee is just, it must be made out of fairy floss or something like that. He's going to be out for 3 to 7 weeks with a specialist as well, so he'll be back in about a month, I think. But thankfully we have Barnes, we have Ings, we have new signing Brereton, and we have also changed that tactical role to be a complete forward now as well. I think it was an advanced forward last season. So a couple of little things just around player roles, nothing crazy in terms of our team instructions or the overall tactics and mentalities that we're using, but just a couple of slight adjustments based on people that we've brought in. All right, so let's have a look at our pre-season schedule and how we've done. Same as last year, we're just playing locally based opposition and belting living shit out of them to keep our morale as high as possible. And so once the season starts, we have the capacity to start smacking a lot of goals in. I'd rather win games 4-3 or 2-1 than worry too much about clean sheets, given that we're playing a flat 4-4-2 and given that we're very aggressive in our instructions. So our big marquee matchup, if you watched last season, you remember we played PSG and actually beat them 1-0 on the first day of the season as our last friendly before the season started. Today we're going to be playing Barcelona at home. Oh, I forgot to mention, we are currently sharing with the Medeski Stadium. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, apologies to any Reading fans, with Reading because Dean Court is currently being expanded upon. So I can't actually find the message that came through from the board, but they're expanding the stadium. It started back in May. It should be completed by the end of this season in April, and it will see us, have quite a bit. I think it moves from about 11,000 to about 15. When we went through our season review, one of the things was that we consistently had we had sellouts every time, but we had the lowest attendances in the league for our home matches. We had a great record at Dean Court, so hopefully the expanded capacity helps us build on that a little bit, particularly with European football and the money that comes in from that. And despite that expansion, we still actually have, if we want, £40 million to work with in the transfer budget. There's no one that I really want to go after. The only one, and it's just purely a want, not a need, is Jack Wilshere. But he signed a new contract at Arsenal in the game, so he's not super interested. But at least we have something to work with. We're not panicking. We're not out of budget. Don't worry about the balance here. It'll come good again, I'm sure. We're under wage budget. We're doing fine. I'm not panicking about the finances. I've been in worse situations. Okay, but enough talking from me. We've gone through the tactic. We've gone through our new signings. We've gone through our pre-season schedule. Let's jump in and play this game against Barcelona. I'm not sure why Barcelona's kit hasn't loaded up there. I've definitely got it. So we're pretty much going to go through the team as we went through it earlier. We're going to go attacking. We are playing at home at Reading's ground. Medeski? Is that how you say it? Medeski? I'm going to go with Medeski. If I'm butchering that pronunciation, please put it in the comment section below. Put it phonetically as well. We're not a cultured people, Australians. So looking at their team, hidden behind my head is Sergi Roberto. Alba will play as left back. Yerry Mina and Gerard Piqué as the central defensive partnership. Silerson in goal ahead of Ter Stegen. Busquets will hold midfield. Rafinha and Suarez as their midfield duo in front of him. Deulofeu, who's previously been at Everton, and a decent player will play left wing. Messi on the right, Suarez up top. On the bench, they've got Vasalco. It looks like they've picked up from Atletico Madrid. Coutinho, Dembele, Felipe Anderson. They've signed from either Lazio or West Ham. Rakitic, Vermaelen's still there somehow. Andre Gomez, Nelson Semedo. There's just so many phenomenal players in that squad. So I'm going to assertively tell everyone, place it up for grad. Impress me. Ben Gibson's at least nodded in agreement, and let's see how we do. Barcelona coming to kick off our season, albeit not at home, but hopefully that means we get a little bit of a spike in crowd by being at a larger stadium. Is this just the highlight to start the game? It is, and we get through it unscathed, thankfully. It'll be interesting to see how our more attacking structure goes. In pre-season, we've only really played lower league opposition, so we have been tearing them apart regardless. Barnes with the ball now, plays it back across. Sessegnon's going to thankfully recover. Ball back inside to Drinkwater to Cook. It's deflected, but Oxford tidies up and plays forward to Jordan. Finds Barnes now. Looks for Ings. He's got men out on the left if he can find him. Cook now with the ball. Sessegnon has gotten in behind. Can he get a cross in? Puts it back post, and Barnes, from pretty much a yard out, unfortunately puts that one over. Not thankfully. I'm not a Barcelona fan. I don't really care. Our nemesis last year, Burnley, are beating Cape Town City 1-0 after the 3rd minute in other friendlies around the world. Looks like Barcelona picked the ball up here, and Suarez may be in behind. It's a decent strike and a great save from Jack Butland. Oh, there is one thing I didn't go through, and that was the World Cup that happened in the game. So I'll do that at the conclusion of this episode. And we'll have a look at, one, what the England squad looked like, and two, how they performed. Sillerson with the long ball forward now. Trippier will tidy up and goes all the way back to Butland. It's long ball forward. Barnes is on his own and brings Cook into the game in central midfield. Good switch out to Sessegnon, who cuts inside and goes on a dribble, finds Barnes. It's a strike from the top of the 18-yard box. Not a bad effort, just a little bit high and wide. I think we've had more of the highlights. We haven't had a shot on target yet, but it's Barcelona. And we've injured Leo Messi. And I never celebrate injuries. I mean, I do. I celebrate injuries all the time. But only in-game injuries, not in real life. But you do have to wonder what implications that'll have on the in-game La Liga season if Messi is going to be carrying a knock for the first few weeks. He is staying out on the pitch, though, so they don't seem that worried about it. Getting towards half-time, into the 40th minute now, 3 shots to 4. We have had one on target, though we didn't see it. They've had more possession, which you would kind of expect. We still don't have any retained possession instructions, so I would have maybe thought Barcelona, being Barcelona, would have a little bit more. Alright, dressing room, let's say, assertively, we need more spirit and fight out there. The fact it's friendly shouldn't mean everything. Everyone looks relatively fired up. I'm going to treat it like it's a regular season game. And we'll have a look at it there. We have done a couple of different things in terms of returning what was previously a counter-attacking defensive structure to being actually defensive, because I think we will have games in the Europa League where we are away from home and maybe a little bit undermanned, where we perhaps need to get behind the ball a little bit better. Coutinho surely offside, and thankfully the referee pulls that one back. But still, they've got talent. There's a great ball from Messi. Sillerson with a long ball forward now. Gibson goes up, it loses out to the header to Suarez. Rose is in the corner, plays a crossfield ball, which looked terrifying for a minute there. Drinkwater now to Cook, out to Sessegnon, who has taken a fantastic touch around Sergio Roberto. He's got men in the box if he can find them. Ings front post, Danny Ings. We are 1-0 up against Barcelona. It's only our second season. I know it's a pre-season friendly, don't give me that. But we beat PSG last year. I'm not sure if they took us lightly. That is a fantastic touch from Ryan Sessegnon to skip past him there. And this is where he's now 18, so he's 12 months down the track. The composure there to slow down, get his head up and find the right ball to front stick for Danny Ings to finish off is absolutely fantastic. So 47th minute, we have gone a goal up against Barcelona, which is not a sentence I expected to be saying really at any point, let alone in the first episode of Season 2. They've taken off Lionel Messi, who's a legendary attacking midfielder, which is very true. So now it'll be Felipe Anderson on that right wing. They're playing the ball around here a little bit. I thought maybe Danny Ings would be in the area there. Oh, Barnes has won the ball back off Sillerson and he's put it into the side netting. It all happened so quickly I didn't have time to commentate very well on it, but Jesus, that's not bad. They're starting to fire through substitutions now, so we might do the same thing, and I'm just going to pause it because they're obviously very good. Alright, so Ibe's struggling a little bit, Barnes is struggling a little bit. We might bring on Ben Brereton for his debut as that defensive forward. We might go with Jack Grealish on the right wing. Tom Davies can come on for Lewis Cook. And I'll go with Mawson on for... Actually, you know what? I'll leave it. We'll just make the 3 for now. Might make a couple more in another 10-15 minutes so in game. We'll see what happens with this corner, which I'm frankly terrified about. Okay, is anything going to happen once I press play? Is it going to be the curse of the substitute? Let's hit that now. I'm making tactical changes. Thankfully, nothing doing. It was just in the background. Sessegnon's been our best performer with that assist, and he's been involved in quite a few of the different highlights that we've seen. They brought on Vasalko on that right wing. We'll see. At that right back position. We'll see if he handles Sessegnon any better. He's moved up to an 8.0 now. If we can get a big season out of him, he's going to be absolutely phenomenal, not just for us, but for the England national side as well. It's ball forward. Andre Gomez cut out well by Danny Rose. The switches on immediately. Coutinho's in behind, and thankfully, I think he hit the post and it went out, or he hit side netting very aggressively. They've made a fair few subs now. It's a ball in from a corner. There is a danger on the counter-attack here. It's a long ball forward towards Felipe Anderson, but Rose cuts it out well. Sessegnon with a switch to Grealish. He's got a man inside, or he tried to play in. Oh, Danio's won the ball back in a decent area. Plays forward to Felipe Anderson. Square ball in midfield, and we don't get to it very quickly, which is frustrating. Suarez now. Coutinho has been a difference maker since he got on the bench, and he's found the equaliser with the assist from Luis Suarez. Butland will want that one back. He definitely will. Beaten at his near post, but if I'm being truthful, that's the third time, I think, in the last 10 minutes that Coutinho's gotten him behind. It's a well-weighted pass, and it just looks like Kieran Trippier lost his man there for a moment. And look, it's not the greatest finish in the world. It's not like he put it in the roof of the net, but look, I'm not going to complain. It's pre-season still. 84th minute, they have found an equaliser. It is the first goal I think we've conceded in pre-season. There's a corner here. Ings with the ball now. Hangs it up to Brereton, and Brereton with the header, and it is over from about 6 yards. He's only 19, he's only young, I'm not going to shit on him. And we actually own him, which is the difference, I think, to Keenan Davis, who we had on loan last year. We actually own all the players in the squad this season, no more loan signings. Alright, we're into extra time now, and I dare say the referee's about to blow for full time. Suarez does have the ball, and he tries to shoot from whatever reason. Surely this will be the end. It's all over. The referee's called full time. It's a 1-1 draw with Barcelona. It's not the worst performance in the world. I'm not going to shit on anybody for it. Player of the match, Ryan Sessegnon with that fantastic assist. In the end, they had 13 shots to our 8. 6 of theirs on target, only 3 of ours. Won the foul count, no yellow cards, played it in the right way, and 47% possession to us, 53% to Barcelona. Suarez had a good game for them. Jordan Ibe and Messi seem to both struggle in terms of that, but not a bad way to start the season. Certainly not complaining. I'm going to calmly say, not bad for a pre-season run out. It's Barcelona. Like, why shit on them? Now let's, before we go, just quickly have a look at the World Cup. Alright, so the World Cup in-game was won by Germany. They beat Spain in the final. I do have Germany actually loaded in here. It looks like it was Timo Werner with the goal. He scored a fantastic amount of goals, 9 throughout the competition, which is just insane. Cavani runner-up, Griezmann with 5 for France. Nobody from England is anywhere near anything here. Where did they actually bow out? So England lost 3-0 to France in the round of 16. So they made it out of their group, but didn't do great from there. Jack Butland played in that game, in goal for most of the tournament. Danny Rose was in there as well. Ashley Barnes made the squad. We did have Callum Wilson in the preliminary rounds of that particular squad, but he didn't make the final cut. And I think we also maybe had, I want to say Jordan Ibe. I think Jordan Ibe was involved in the preliminary squad as well, but didn't make the final cut, which is fair enough. But still, 2 representatives in England World Cup team. They didn't do that well. Oh, sorry, 3 representatives, Butland, Danny Rose, and Ashley Barnes. So progress, we're slowly getting there. They're not in the starting lineup yet, with the exception being Jack Butland, but we at least have a couple of members of the England setup in our team. So we are slowly bringing football home, and eventually we'll get to a stage where it's all 11. Okay, so not a bad run out. If we look at our pre-season schedule, it hasn't been too bad. Only that one draw against Barcelona. If we had maybe held out and not made our subs late on, or just the quality that they had to bring off the bench, maybe we could have held on for a 1-0 win. I'm not going to panic too much about it. I think in the next episode, we'll just do the first 2 games of the season. I always like doing the first and then the last games as well. So Arsenal and Stoke in the next episode, and then we'll have a look at how we're doing and what games we want to do for September as well. There is Europa League action and Europa League draw to come as well. So super excited about the season. If you're excited about Season 2, feel free to chuck a like on this video or subscribe to the channel. If you don't want to subscribe, feel free to follow In The Mixer FM on Twitter. There will be a link in the description below. More than anything, thank you so much for watching. As always, I've been Sean, and I will see you in the mixer.